Breaking news, you're looking at video of one of the last times Oscar winner Gene Hackman, a known recluse in recent years, was seen in public.
Two-time Oscar-winning actor Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, were found dead on Wednesday.
Gene Hackman's tragic and mysterious death, along with his wife Betsy Arakawa's, has shocked the entertainment world and left fans and investigators alike searching for answers. Hackman, a legendary actor who graced the silver screen for decades, had withdrawn from the public eye after his retirement in 2004. He sought peace and quiet in a large home in Santa Fe, New Mexico. But that peace was shattered in February 2025 when both he and his wife were found dead in their home under suspicious circumstances. In this video, we dive deep into the details of their deaths, exploring not only the investigation itself, but also the fascinating aspects surrounding their lives, Hackman's career, his relationship with Arakawa, and the ongoing mystery that surrounds the scene of their deaths. What was the cause of death? And could this be an unfortunate accident or something darker? And as we uncover more, we'll also delve into the implications of their deaths on Hackman's estate, his family dynamics, and what may be next for those left behind. Stay tuned as we navigate this tragic and perplexing tale. On February 26, 2025, the lifeless bodies of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa were discovered in their home in Santa Fe, New Mexico, raising more questions than answers for investigators. Hackman, the legendary actor known for his roles in iconic films such as The French Connection and Unforgiven, was 95 years old, and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, was 64. Their deaths were unexpected, especially given the circumstances in which they were found. The discovery was made by two maintenance workers who had been scheduled to check on the couple's property after not having seen them for over 2 weeks. When they arrived, they found the house in an unsettling state. Hackman's body was located in the mudroom of the house near a cane, which suggested he might have fallen. Arakawa's body was found in an open bathroom, adjacent to a space heater, and an open prescription bottle with scattered pills was found nearby. The scene immediately raised suspicions. The presence of the pills and the disarray pointed to a possible overdose or an accident gone awry. The question of whether the deaths were accidental or deliberate remained at the forefront of the investigation. Further investigation into the scene revealed more troubling details. The front door of the house was found open and unlocked, which struck investigators as odd given the couple's usual caution. The discovery of a healthy dog running loose on the property and another dog near Arakawa's body added further intrigue to the situation. However, one of their German shepherds, Zinna, was found dead in a closet near Arakawa. The presence of the dog in such a secluded spot added another layer of mystery to the deaths, suggesting the possibility of something more sinister at play. As the investigation continued, forensic specialists noted the body's condition as potentially indicative of the time frame of death. Both Hackman's and Arakawa's bodies showed significant signs of decomposition. Arakawa's face was notably bloated, and her hands and feet had begun to mummify, indicating that she had likely passed away a considerable amount of time before being found. Hackman's body was in a similar state, though his was less visibly affected by bloating. Despite these signs of decomposition, authorities did not initially suspect external trauma, such as blunt force or sharp force injuries, which would typically suggest foul play. However, the situation remained suspicious. The open door, the disorganized state of the house, the positioning of the bodies, and the presence of prescription medication all raised significant concerns. These elements suggested a potential overdose or a case of misadventure. However, the timeline of events was unclear, and investigators were determined to dig deeper. With the bodies having already shown signs of advanced decomposition, the results of the autopsy would likely provide crucial insights into the exact cause of death. In particular, investigators hoped the autopsy would clarify whether the deaths were the result of an accidental overdose, a natural death, or something more intentional. As the investigation unfolded, the lack of external trauma seemed to suggest the possibility of natural causes. though the presence of prescription drugs and the unusual scene left room for further speculation. It was clear that the answers to this case would not come easily, and a thorough investigation would be required to uncover what truly happened to Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa in their final days. The investigation was ongoing, and the cause of their deaths remained uncertain. Several key details raised concerns for authorities upon discovering the bodies of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa. Arakawa's body, in particular, showed clear signs of death and decomposition. Her condition was troubling: bloating in the face and mummification of her hands and feet, which indicated that she had likely been dead for some time before being found. In addition to the state of her body, the placement of a space heater near her suggested something more complicated. It was unclear if the heater had been intentionally placed there, or if it had fallen after Arakawa collapsed. The presence of the heater raised the possibility of an accidental death due to carbon monoxide or heat-related issues, though no definitive evidence pointed to this as the cause. The proximity of the dog to Arakawa's body also raised unsettling questions. One of the couple's German shepherds was found near her body, while another, Zinna, was discovered dead in a closet. The survival of one dog but the death of the other prompted speculation about the dog's involvement in the events leading to the deaths. Did the dogs experience a shared distress, or were their deaths linked to whatever occurred in the house? Could their condition offer clues to the timing of the couple's demise, or indicate that something more unusual was at play? Adding to the uncertainty was the open prescription bottle found near Arakawa's body. The presence of the pills raised immediate concerns about the possibility of an overdose, whether accidental or intentional. The scattered pills suggested that the bottle had been disturbed, perhaps in a frantic attempt to find a solution to a medical crisis. While the open bottle was a troubling sign, there were no immediate indications of poisoning or foul play. Investigators also considered whether Arakawa could have accidentally overdosed on her medication, though it was unclear how the drugs could have played a role in both her death and the strange scene surrounding it. A later investigation of the gas lines in the home revealed only a minor leak, which was deemed too insignificant to have caused harm to the couple. Hackman's body, found in a separate room, was consistent with a fall. At 95 years old, it wasn't entirely surprising that he may have lost his balance or collapsed. However, there were still many unknowns regarding how long he had been dead and whether his fall had been a result of some other factor, such as weakness from illness or even an injury from the fall itself. The fact that both Hackman and Arakawa were found in separate rooms added a layer of complexity. Had the couple's deaths been part of a tragic accident, or did something more sinister unfold that day? The placement of the bodies, the presence of prescription medication, and the condition of the animals all left investigators with many questions still to answer. Gene Hackman had been open about his health struggles over the years, particularly after he retired from acting in 2004. Throughout his later years, Hackman faced several health issues, many of which had raised concerns about his well-being. In the 1990s, he underwent angioplasty, a procedure aimed at improving blood flow to his heart. This was just one of many health challenges he encountered as he entered his senior years. Despite these issues, Hackman remained active and engaged with life, even after his retirement. However, his health continued to deteriorate, prompting a series of medical interventions and altering his lifestyle in profound ways. In 2009, doctors advised Hackman to retire from acting after a stress test revealed that his heart was not in optimal condition. At that time, he had been suffering from angina, a condition characterized by chest pain due to reduced blood flow to the heart. This diagnosis was a wake-up call for Hackman, and it became clear that the pressures and stress of his previous career may have contributed to his declining health. While he heeded medical advice and stepped away from Hollywood, Hackman's health challenges continued to shadow him, prompting him to embrace a quieter and less physically demanding life. Retiring to his Santa Fe home with his wife, Betsy Arakawa, Hackman sought solace in a lifestyle away from the media spotlight. He focused on his personal health emphasizing relaxation and well-being over the hectic schedule of his acting career. Despite these efforts, the toll of his medical history seemed ever present. Hackman's health was a topic he had discussed openly in interviews, acknowledging the importance of taking care of himself in his later years. Yet, despite his best efforts to live a more peaceful life, Hackman continued to face the realities of aging, with his medical history always lingering in the background. As Hackman's death was discovered under suspicious circumstances, questions naturally arose about how much his health history played a role in his demise. At 95 years old, it was not entirely surprising that Hackman's health might have contributed to his passing, but the nature of the deaths and the unexplained elements surrounding the incident left some wondering if his condition had played a direct role in what transpired. Was Hackman's decline in health a contributing factor to his death, or was there another, more complicated cause behind the tragic event? Amid the shock of Hackman's passing, his son, Christopher Hackman, made headlines by hiring a prominent trust and estate attorney, Andrew M. Katzenstein. This development suggested that Christopher might challenge his father's will, which reportedly left everything to Hackman's wife, Betsy Arakawa, with no mention of his children. The fact that Hackman's estate, estimated to be worth around $80 million, had been solely left to Arakawa, led many to speculate that a legal battle could be on the horizon. Christopher's legal move underscored the potential for family drama following Hackman's death, adding another layer of complexity to an already mysterious situation. Hackman's health history and the ongoing legal dispute over his estate seemed to intertwine with the circumstances surrounding his death. While his health struggles were well documented, the suddenness and puzzling nature of his passing have only fueled further speculation, leaving many wondering if his physical decline played a role or if there was something more behind the tragic event. Betsy Arakawa, Gene Hackman's second wife, led a life largely out of the public eye. The couple had been together for nearly 3 decades, sharing a quiet existence far from the Hollywood spotlight. Arakawa, a former concert pianist, was known for her grace and intellect, and although she had once been part of the music world, her life with Hackman centered around privacy and tranquility. After Hackman's retirement from acting in 2004, the couple settled in Santa Fe, New Mexico, seeking peace in a setting far removed from the glitz and glamour of his film career. Throughout their years together, Arakawa was fiercely protective of Hackman's privacy. The couple rarely made public appearances, preferring to keep their personal lives shielded from the media. Their shared life was built on a foundation of mutual respect and quiet companionship. Arakawa supported Hackman's decision to retire from acting, and their years together in Santa Fe reflected their desire for seclusion and normalcy. Arakawa's role as a wife, away from the public eye, was one of unwavering devotion, as she tended to their home and ensured that Hackman's life post-Hollywood was as stress-free as possible. In terms of her own career, Arakawa's past as a concert pianist was a distant memory by the time she and Hackman established their life in Santa Fe. She had already made her mark in the music world before meeting Hackman, but she chose to step away from the limelight, focusing instead on her family and maintaining a private life. This decision reflected Arakawa's preference for living away from public scrutiny and her commitment to supporting her husband in his transition from a famous actor to a more reclusive figure. Arakawa's will further adds to the complexity of the situation surrounding her death. In her will, she left the majority of her assets to Hackman. However, she included a significant caveat that would become crucial in the aftermath of their deaths. If the couple died within 90 days of each other, all her assets would be donated to charity. This clause has raised numerous questions, especially given the mysterious nature of their deaths. The unexpected passing of both Arakawa and Hackman within such a short time frame has put the validity of this clause under scrutiny, and it has complicated the investigation into their deaths. The timing of their deaths, occurring so close to one another, has led to speculation about whether the clause in Arakawa's will was a factor in what transpired. The potential legal ramifications of this clause are significant, especially since Hackman's estate, estimated to be worth $80 million, is at the center of the dispute. With Arakawa's assets potentially going to charity, the issue of inheritance has become a key point of contention among family members. Hackman's son, Christopher Hackman has already taken steps to hire a prominent trust and estate attorney, signaling the possibility of a legal battle over the inheritance. Arakawa's life, once characterized by quiet devotion and privacy, has now become part of a much larger and much more public mystery. Her legacy, previously tied to her role as Hackman's partner in life, is now inextricably linked to the questions surrounding her death, the timing of Hackman's passing, and the financial decisions they had made in life. The deaths of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa have brought a host of legal complications to the forefront, particularly concerning Hackman's estate. Hackman's will, which left everything to his wife, Betsy Arakawa, has created significant tension within his family, especially among his children, who were notably absent from the will. The absence of his children in the estate plan has led to immediate questions about whether they will contest the inheritance. Christopher Hackman, Gene Hackman's son, has already taken steps to address this by hiring a prominent trust and estate attorney. This action signals his intent to challenge his father's will, potentially leading to a lengthy and contentious legal battle. The situation is further complicated by the clause in Arakawa's will that stipulates her assets would be donated to charity if she and Hackman were to die within 90 days of each other. With both Hackman and Arakawa now deceased within such a close time frame, this provision has put the entire future of their estate in question. Whether Arakawa's assets will indeed go to charity, as her will dictates, or whether Hackman's children will fight for a portion of the estate remains uncertain. The legal intricacies surrounding this clause could result in a drawn-out and bitter dispute, further clouding the tragic circumstances of their deaths. The potential legal battle over Hackman's estate is more than just a matter of inheritance. It also raises questions about the validity of the wills and how the provisions will be interpreted in light of the unusual circumstances. Hackman's children, particularly Christopher, may argue that their father's wishes were not fully expressed or may contest the fairness of being excluded from the inheritance. Hackman's relationship with his children, which had reportedly been distant in recent years, could further fuel the tension surrounding the will. Their desire to claim a portion of the estate could lead to a legal conflict that pits family members against each other, prolonging the grief and emotional strain already caused by the loss of both parents. In addition to the dispute over the will, there are also questions regarding the administration of the estate itself. The estate is estimated to be worth around $80 million, and with both Hackman and Arakawa passing so close together, determining how the assets will be distributed according to the wills could be a complex process. Executors of the estate will need to carefully review both Hackman's and Arakawa's wills, as well as the clause regarding charitable donations, to determine the rightful recipients of the estate. This process could become a battleground for those involved, with each party potentially seeking a legal interpretation that benefits their interests. If Christopher and possibly other family members contest the will, it could lead to a protracted court battle that could last for years. In the meantime, the emotional toll on the family would likely increase, as the legal disputes could overshadow the grieving process. Ultimately, the family's ability to reconcile their differences and find a resolution will depend on how the courts interpret the wills and the legal challenges that are sure to arise in the wake of this tragedy. The tragic deaths of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa remain shrouded in mystery, leaving many questions still unanswered. As investigations continue and legal battles unfold, the truth behind their passing may take time to emerge. Their story, however, has captivated the public, and we can only hope for closure in the days ahead. If you found this video intriguing, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more updates on this unfolding story. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the truth will ever come to light? Stay tuned for more developments.